Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's going on, Dante, coach here?
What's going on? Nothing much. Actually dealing with him right now. They wanted to start acting up as soon as we were ready to go live. But what's up to everybody out there? Welcome to the season finale of Ballroom Conversations with the Capital Ballroom Council. I'm one of your coaches, Dante Brown Balenciaga, and this is
Hey, I am the other co-chair of the Capital Ballroom Council, Kenneth Garcon, and clearly Boris won a piece. That's why he wanted to be on the camera. He didn't want a piece.
Listen, he got to go to North Carolina for the West Ball, and now you can't tell him nothing.
Oh, that's awesome. So this is our season finale of season 1. I think it's a great way to end the season finale, right? We've had a lot of topics, and we really like to highlight everybody. So this was a great opportunity to really highlight a community of our scene. But before we do, I want to bring up our guest host tonight, who is also the Sergeant at Arms for the Capital Ballroom Council. Ready for it? Hey, Boris. All right. Jeezy Ebony.
Hello. Let me put my drink down, Jesus. Hello.
Welcome, Sergeant of Arms. How are you?
I'm all right. How y'all doing?
Good. All right. You excited about tonight?
Yeah, super excited. This is actually I think it's gonna be really great. So I've been watching you guys, so I'm gonna finally add it on here.
All right, what's up, James Icon? I see him in the comments.
Flowers. Hey, James. Flowers. What's going on, James?
What's up, Steps? What's going on, Coach? All right, well, let's get the intro going and let's get this show on the road.
Let's get the show on the road. All right.
Let's go.
Have you heard of status neutral? What does it mean to be status neutral? Well, it describes a world where HIV is no longer transmitted and its damaging stigma has been removed. Preventative actions like regular HIV and STD testing, condom distribution, PrEP, PEP, needle exchange programs, and others are moving us toward a status neutral world. Learn more about PrEP, PEP, and U=U at sexualbeing.org.
Shout out to DC Health for that new commercial, one of our sponsors.
Yes, definitely shout outs to them.
Yeah, shout out to all of our sponsors. We'll talk about them all later. Special shout out to House Lives Matter, one of our sponsors for this evening. We are streaming live on their platform. Thank you all for your support. You guys ready? I'm gonna bring up our panelists.
Let's get it.
All right. So first up, we're gonna bring up Siren.
How you doing?
Howdy.
What's up, Siren West? How are you?
What is the right direction?
Going on?
You just had a busy weekend. I mean, you had a busy weekend too. What, 2 weekends ago now? You got time to recuperate, relax, and all that stuff from that?
Yes, indeed. Back to work. Every day hustle. So
yeah, could dig it. All right. Next up, we're going to bring up to the screen. So Sean Coleman, Ebony.
The icon.
What's good?
What's going on?
What up, Sean? How are you? All is well. How are you doing?
Good. Doing real good.
Yeah, can't complain. All right. Next up, it's Caden 007.
What's going on, Caden?
Good. All right, next person we have up here is gorgeous Adonis Gucci.
What's up, Adonis? Can you hear now?
What'd you say?
Can you hear now?
Been shady already, honey.
I just said, can you hear? Sheesh.
It started already.
Yes, all is good. I see and hear everyone. All these beautiful melanated men.
All right.
Awesome. And last but not least, we're going to bring up to the panel Mr. Alan Balenciaga.
What's going on, Alan?
What's going on, y'all?
How are you?
What's up, Alan?
What's up?
All right.
Everybody, well, thank you all for joining us tonight. Got a shout out from Indigenous Australia.
Oh wow.
Oh, that's what's up. What's up? Yeah, this is about to be a good show. Hey, Arnold.
What's going on?
Thanks for watching.
What's up, Arnold?
All right. Are y'all excited? Are y'all ready for the questions?
Of course.
Yeah. All right. So I'll start off the first question. How long have you been in Ballroom, each of you?
That's a trick question for me. Yeah, that's a trick question for me. I started walking balls in 1987.
Oh wow!
My first house was the House of a Bay Star.
Oh wow!
And after that, I'm an original member of House of Revlon, and now EBONY. Yeah.
That's awesome. Anybody else?
Okay, well, I guess I'll go. Okay, do you want to go?
Siren, I think you're muted. I can't hear you.
Wait, you can't hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
There we go. Okay.
I can hear you. Kate is muted.
Kaden was muted.
Yeah,
Okay,
right. You're muted.
Yeah, you're muted, Kaden.
Siren, why don't you go ahead in the meantime?
All right. So let's see, 2015. So yeah, 5 years. My first house was the House of Blonnet, and now I'm in the House of West, the right direction, the only direction. You already know the vibes.
Awesome, and congratulations on a successful weekend as well.
Thank you.
I think it now.
Yeah, you good.
There you go, kid. Now we can hear you.
I've been around since like 2009, 2010, but I haven't been active in years.
Okay.
All right.
I guess I can go next. I've technically been in Ballroom 2010, walking women's face. And during my transition, I gave myself some time to bake. So when I came back, I was in the house of Chanel, and proud to say that I was the first and only trans man father. Let's work on that. And then, one of the founding members of the House of Macy Margiela, and I am now at home at the House of Gorgeous Gucci.
All right, awesome. So, and last but not least, Alan.
So I've been in Ballroom for about 4 years, maybe 5. I was at Ebony at first, and now I'm just Yaga. Short and sweet.
Awesome sauce. All right. Next questions for you, Dante.
All right. So, and this is for anyone. Did you have any men of trans experience before you that inspired or motivated your transition? And if so, who?
I'll actually kick this one off. So actually the person's on the call. So Mr. Sean Coleman was actually one of the first Black trans men of experience that I actually got to see within Ballroom. So within society, I see just a ton of white trans men, as we pretty much all did on YouTube and things like that. But in real life, it was Sean, and I would say also Marquise. But those two definitely showed me what a Black trans man represented, what they are, and how they move and groove within society. Thank you, Sean, for existing, sir.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Nice.
I'll go ahead and kick it off next. So my actual transition was actually inspired by someone who was not in Ballroom. A lot of trans guys know him. He goes by the name of Kenji or Wolf. That was the first trans man I ever met. My entrance into Ballroom, this person is actually on this call, Mr. Adonis himself. That was pretty much my mentor. somebody I knew I could ask anything. You know, we were in the house with Chanel together, so we were pretty close. And I owe a lot of my ballroom knowledge to him. And then as I stayed in ballroom, Marquise and Sean and a lot of the older trans, I started to meet them and pretty much learn from them as well.
Awesome.
Oh, thank you for that. Sean, he called you older fish.
So
Older fish. And
I can go. My transition, I didn't even honestly know about ballroom when I first started transitioning. Like Adonis said, all I had was like the white trans men on YouTube. But then the way I got into ballroom was actually Malik, I guess ex-Prodigy now. And then I met like Marquise and people like that.
So for me, I didn't know about ballroom when I first transitioned. I met actually these guys. I went to this conference. It's called Gender Odyssey in Seattle. I'm in the military. That's my first duty station. So that was the first place I went to see trans people, and I met these 5 black guys, and they were all trans, and they were all 50 and older. So they kind of inspired me and took me under their wing when I first started my transition. But when I got into ballroom, then I met Sean, and matter of fact, Sean and Karan, those are the 2 people that brought me into ballroom. That's when Ebony and Alpha had like this connection, and so I was Ebony Alpha. I don't know which way I was. I was both at the same time. So, and that's how I got into ballroom. And then I took to Sean and Chill and Tredge. Those guys, they took me on the game, and so that's how I got involved in ballroom.
so mine is a bit different because mine wasn't centered around being trans, right? Mine was more centered around finding family and folks that I could connect with. When I started walking balls, it wasn't about trans men really. The category was actually male illusionist. Too many beers. It was male illusionist. So the folks that inspired me when I came out was Dutch Ebony, Kayshawn, Lil D. Those are the folks that, and this was all pre-transition, right? But those were the folks that I looked up to when I first came into the scene and started walking.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. All right. So for our next question, you had something, Dante? You was gonna say?
No, I just was gonna say for everybody viewing, thank you for viewing, and also please share this live to your page, to your house groups, to all the ballroom groups that you're in. Share the live. This is an informative but also fun panel we're having tonight.
Yep. Shout out to Jamie and Quentin Q for sharing the live. I see them. I'm over here looking at my other device right now. And
that's what I'm doing too. When you see me turning this way, it's because it's my computer's right here, and I'm like doing stuff like that. But go ahead,
Jeezy.
Do you feel trans men receive the respect they should within ballroom? Why or why not? Who wants to start off?
I was gonna say, let's kick this off with Sean. I know I've been at a few House Lives Matter conferences with you, and you definitely haven't held back your tongue on how you feel about things. So let's just kick it off with you.
Wait, who we starting with?
You.
Oh wow! Y'all want me to choose? Y'all want me to choose violence or which way y'all want me to go?
We want you to tell your truth. Tell your truth.
I think it all depends, right? I think the category has progressed a lot. I think most folks in ballroom don't know enough about trans men actually be respected. I think we all should do a better job in educating folks around what trans is outside of ballroom and then translating it into ballroom, right? I think being trans in ballroom is a little different than my everyday life, right? Ballroom for me has always been kind of like this performance, right? When you see me, it's this, I'm real all the time. I'm always on. So you'll get a different personality or I'll show up different in ballroom than I will in other spaces. I think sometimes that's not understood completely. I think sometimes, most times, all the times, often, trans men are looked upon as if they're like this new plaything, right? Or I want one. I can't remember how many times I've seen folks put that on their page. Or, oh, he's cute. I want one. And it's like, want one? Like you got a puppy or something that you're gonna play with for a little while and then let go on about their business. I think those discussions need to change. I think, especially when it comes to trans women, they want us to acknowledge the path that they took to womanhood, but will discount who we are and how we feel at the drop of a dime. I think we all need to like really, really have each other's back when that happens, because most of us on this call and most of us, especially with spaces like House Lives Matter, you understand what it means to be trans, whether it's masculine or feminine. So we need to be correcting the behaviors. I think trans guys need to come out a little more. Not me, because y'all just said I'm older cunt, so I can't really come out like that. But y'all need to come out and really show out and let them see what it's about now. Like it's a different era from when I was with me. It was more about safety, my realness, right? I wanted to make sure that when they saw me, they perceived me as this heterosexual cisgender male, so I ain't have to worry about nobody fucking with me. Y'all don't really have to worry about that right now, right? No shade. Y'all don't really have to worry about it. Y'all can really show up as your authentic self. And I really think that y'all should come out, show your creativity, and like challenge some of the misconceptions about what it means to be trans masculine.
You really actually touched on a lot of topics that's going to come up.
That's we're going to talk about.
Yeah, yeah.
Talk about as well.
Yeah.
But if anybody else wants
did.
It's the ginger ale. It's the ginger ale got me there.
If anybody else wants to weigh in on this specific question, feel free to.
I wanted to weigh in because actually I just had a conversation with 3 trans men this morning alone regarding Ballroom and the entry of it, or those that's been in Ballroom and just trying to find a place in space, and how they feel about the judging or the unfair judging, not just for the girlfriend panels, just in general how they're being judged. So this is how I'm taking it as someone that's been in Ballroom for a while, and as a father and as a leader. I'm kind of just taking it as a promoter, throwing balls, making sure that when there are balls that have the categories, read the fucking balls, like actually read the categories, because a lot of them misgender us. A lot of them have coming out in like kind of like drags realness. So a lot of times it's okay to reach out to the promoter and give that in the moment feedback. Hey, let's work together. Let's fix this category. If they don't want to, that's a whole nother conversation. You know what I'm saying? But I think that at this point now, we just need to start throwing balls, getting more trans men, like Sean said, out there actually walking, so they can stop using the excuse, we don't give y'all cash, we don't because y'all don't show up. And it's more or less like us trying to find, like Sean said, it's not about safety any longer. It's about finding that place that was already etched out for us, already marginalized community, and actually feeling a part of that. So a lot of times it's not like we have to bust down the door like a lot of trans women give their story when it comes to Ballroom, or like setting the path, right? So being first is always the hardest. So now that we're a little bit more visible and we're a little bit more outspoken, I think now in Ballroom is the perfect time, specifically this year with so many balls coming up every week. I think that we definitely need to walk, and like I love open to all categories. Everyone knows I will walk against a butch queen in a minute. I love taking my clothes off, and if they don't have a category for trans men, guess what? I'm gonna walk it, and if you can't clock it, then give me my grand prize. So I think that that's just one of those things that we all, everyone on this call, we definitely have that confidence and we exude that. So why not show Ballroom what it actually is? And a lot of times, who I am outside of Ballroom versus within Ballroom are 2 different humans. And people that know us personally, they got to stop judging us that way, because our job is to give you a person, a persona when we're walking on that panel. Judge that, whether I fucked you or not. Judge that and give me my coin. So that's...
I'm gonna piggyback off of that, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was waiting and I was like double dutching, and then he said it right at the end, because the reason why I stepped away from Ballroom completely is because I was being judged off of what I do or who I am outside of Ballroom, and rather than meet whether or not I'm real, right? Mm-hmm. So I found myself, especially in the beginning, you know, when I was just like a little baby prodigy, I found myself getting chopped from the back of the runway, not because I wasn't real, but because I was gay and openly gay. And at this point, being a gay trans man was like taboo. Like that was not a thing. You couldn't do that. And it was always, oh, you out here getting slayed and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, but also I'm real. So why does that matter? You know what I'm saying? But it seems like for trans men, when we walk, we have to our background they do background checks and shit. They on Facebook checking our who we fucking or their girlfriend fucked or whatever the case may be. And suddenly, even if they didn't know we was trans to begin with, now we're not real all of a sudden. And that it feels like a waste of time. Not to mention, it's always bring it in a blue collar outfit, bring it in a suit, bring it as an army. Like it's always the same thing. There's literally no creativity. I'm not saying ever, but like for the most part, there's no creativity in the category. It'd be boring. Like, I mean, how many different ways can I bring it as a plumber? Like, that kind of it definitely gets like old, especially when you have all those other things layered on top of it. So no, it doesn't feel like there's very much respect. It's like they just throw us in there. Like, okay, we gonna throw them in there so that we can do the whole, like Sean said, oh, I want to have him and look at that and I need a piece of that. They want to do that part, but there's a lack of respect that goes along with that.
Yeah. Can I just address that really, really quickly?
Sure.
I think in the very beginning, right? I'm taking back. The way I was taught to walk balls is that they're judging you from the moment you step foot in the door. In the realness category, the moment you step foot in the door, they're judging you. When it comes to trans man realness, all of us on this call is real. So then it breaks down to who's the alpha male out of all of that. So they start to pick things apart. They start to like peel back the onion, if you will, to try to figure out whatever they can use to say that you're not real. It's undeniable that all of us look like men, act like men, and live like men. But in a competition, it's going to be, okay, now who's the alpha male out of these 5 that are on this panel? And then the other thing, while I don't agree that it's fair that folks will judge you outside of ballroom for who you are and how you live, that was always what it was about, because it wasn't about being perceived as a gay male. It was being perceived as a cisgender heterosexual male. So if they can, again, if for whatever reason you don't fit that mold, even though you look real, like all the butch queens that walk butch queen realness look real, what makes them the alpha male? So I'm not defending how they judge because I think it's wrong, but I just think that has always been baked into ballroom to judge that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I feel like they do that only for trans men, because I know for a fact that it'd be like 90% of the thug realnesses are getting bent over every which way right after the ball and before the ball, and nobody cares about that. Like, not saying they don't actually care, but it's not as ingrained as it is when it comes to trans men. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. Like, I get what you're saying. I absolutely agree. I hear what you're saying, because I know that, but also that's something that takes away, like, why is it that, cisgender gay men, it doesn't matter how gay they are outside of ballroom, as long as in the ball, they're perceived as heterosexual cisgender men, but then trans men, because we're all real, even though all the butch queens are real too, we're all real. Now we got to get into how they getting and who they getting and why they getting.
Because now you're looking at a girlfriend circle, and if we're going to keep it a buck, that's all it is up there, is a girlfriend circle. So they may be scheming on who they're going to bend over that night, and you may be, he might let me, but I know he going to go. So it still breaks down to you're entering into a space that has historically not been our space. That's their space. Yeah. So they can decide that they want to judge it that way. Not right, but they can decide that that's how they want to do it until we come and shake it up.
Yeah.
But I was going to say at the end of the day, because I've had commentators intentionally misgender us, and I see we have like Deion Christian on the call, and it was actually at his bar, and we had a conversation about it, because the commentator was like, "Come here, girl." And, I say girl like in a joking, loving, like other bad words we're not supposed to say. But it's the way he continued to say it. He was like, judge her. And I'm like, okay, honey, I'm not drunk. I'm not like, I hear you. And I just, let it be. But little things like that have been an issue within ballroom. So I would say, I think that, like, if it was started with male illusionists, I think any sense of femininity, and if they believe that trans all, because they always put us all together, all trans men are rooted in femininity, which is not true, because even prior to transition, a lot of trans men did not associate with anything feminine. And we already know your gender, your expression are not always the same. So I think that that's an educational piece. And again, shout out to House Lives Matter. And also shout out to James Icon, Mario Balenciaga, Jamie Balenciaga, just certain individuals that throw balls and make sure that those categories are clear, make sure those judges know what the hell they're doing and what they're properly judging. And also, like, there's just so many commentators that have called out individuals within the ballroom scene for being completely transphobic, specifically towards trans men, and intentionally misgender us, either it be on a post, we can do this all day, on a post, which I'll let that be because that's social media, but specifically in balls. Not only is that degrading to our character and who we are presenting to you, it's like not saying our name and keep calling us by our dead, our birth, or given name. All that form is disrespect. So the moment that we clap back, it seemed as a feminine trait. Like, girl, calm down, you're doing too much. And it's like, no, you're fucking disrespectful, right? And just because I walk a thug category, because we assume thug means alpha male, which you just highlighted, half of them just got out of prison. They was like, well, I used to, do, performance, just got out of prison, girl, now I'm walking thug realness. I mean, come on. But, no shade to anyone that's giving what they're giving, but at the same time, allow us what we're presenting to respect that. If you have questions or, hey, if you don't see it, say that. Just say, I don't see it. But that whole misgendering thing that they do often, and I'm not saying they as in all of ballroom, I'm saying there are specific individuals. And for those that are a part of alliances or have different chapters that can help and control that, let's get a list or something where we can vet these individuals that they've been transphobic in the past. Just because you're queer is just a qualifier. We know it's not a unifier. So just because you're queer does not mean that you belong in this space. So if we're going to gatekeep other individuals coming in, let's gatekeep those that are actually in there and get their toxic ass out of here.
Yeah. I got one thing.
Go ahead.
I would say one thing about it too. I think they try to judge us the same as when it comes down to butch queen runners. Whereas we're talking about two different things, as we all know. We're talking about with sexual orientation, because as a butch queen, they're already a man. Their manhood is already fully established when they hit the floor. They already know that. Whereas I feel as though we're trying to prove to them they feel as though we're trying to prove to them that we're men because of the trans in front of it. So when it comes down to it, a lot of times they'll try to judge us the same way. Whereas a lot of the butch queens are putting on a show, because I've seen some of them. They walk on the stage, they're one way. They win, they'll switch off and everything else. You know what I'm saying? Whereas we're saying 24/7 because this is who we are. This is our life. We're just giving you a glimpse of it, or I'm just bringing it to you the way you asked me to bring it to you. But all of us aren't thugs. All of us aren't, all of us aren't that guy. But when we walk into ballroom, that's who we are told that we have to be, because that's the only category for our category. Bringing in black. If you bring it in black and you have on something other than a t-shirt or some jeans or probably something like that, you probably ain't gonna make it. And we all know that. You could try it, but you probably ain't gonna make it. So I think it comes with also, if ballroom is gonna grow, everybody has to grow. So you're talking about the toxic people. Well, it comes with educating and growing. The category, as Sean said, on education on the category, this category has grown over the years. So it wasn't always trans man realness. So with it, the education about the category, because a lot of them don't even know what it is. They really don't even know who trans men are. It's what they think we do. But our lives and trans women lives are totally different. Like the stuff they go through and the stuff we go through is totally different. But because they both say trans, then they automatically assume that we're the same. So I think that's part of the issue as well.
All right. So the next question we have is, how do you feel about the fetishization of trans men often displayed within the community as of recent?
So I've been quiet, and I was waiting for this question. If you know me, when I see stuff on Facebook, what do? I blast and I have a conversation. Dante has seen many of them. We've had our own conversation. See, the thing is, I feel like whenever trans men speak up about fetishization, they're like, oh, we don't like to be a fetish. You see posts like, oh, I want one. Oh, I think I want to try one. And as Sean said earlier, I'm not something you can take off the shelf and put it back when you're done. That's not how that works. And I noticed that in Ballroom, it's very much like as more and more trans men come into the scene, it's like, ooh, something new. And I understand the curiosity, but at what point do you realize I'm still a human and respect is due to a dog? If you're sitting here telling me that, treating me like I'm a item, a piece of property, and then I tell you, hey, I don't like that. Usually the response is, oh, well, you know, the girls fetishize the Bush Queens, but we're not talking about that. What we're talking about is I'm a human being telling you I do not like how I am being referred to, how I'm being talked to, and how I am being literally compared to the rest. But that seems like whenever trans men speak up, it's y'all are being sensitive, y'all are being emotional, you're acting like a girl. Maybe the hormones are too strong. All the things that you should not say to somebody, but these are the things that are said. But how often, when trans women are attacked, you don't get that. You get a rally of support. But when trans men speak up, it's a little bit different. And that bothers me. It really does bother me because it's continuous. There's been many posts in the Ballroom Clips and Dips group where we've said something, and what we do get? Laughing reactions, laughing emojis. You'll get a few people that will speak up and say what they have to say, and you get a bunch of other people that just keep going because they think it's funny. Treating trans men like we're baby makers. Oh, I wanna start a family. I want a trans man so I can have a baby. But you don't know if that trans man wants to have a child. Oh, I don't know if I like female anatomy, but you don't know if that trans man is a bottom. We aren't just one size fits all. We're all different. So that's like my biggest thing. And it's continuous. And no matter how much education I see is put out, there are still people who choose to be ignorant. And ignorance is what? The lack of knowledge. So that's where I'm at. That's how I feel about it. It's very prevalent in the community.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
I would say something. I think it's a double-edged sword, right? Because yes, there are people in the ballroom that do that to us, but yes, there are us that feed into that and egg that on and encourage that behavior. And don't correct those people when they do that. And they're your girlfriends until they say the wrong thing to you or they do it the wrong way. And now you don't like it because you didn't like the way they say it that way. But they've been doing this. Or they've been saying it about people, other people around you. So we have to be careful because it's a double-edged sword. Like we can't, if we're gonna stop the behavior, we have to stop the behavior as a whole. Or we have to take it as it comes and grow with the behavior. I mean, grow with what they're doing, or find a different way to correct it. But you cannot egg something on or encourage something and then at the same time cry wolf. You know what I'm saying? Like we have to either check other trans men, which trans men don't like to be checked. Other guys, some guys, you don't want nobody telling you what to do, how to do it, where to do it. And I don't want nobody telling me that because I'm a grown ass man and ain't nobody gonna tell me how to do what I do, whatever. If you ain't paying no bills, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, the fetishization, you know that word. We know that, right? I can spell it though. But that word, it comes with the territory because we're not new. Because we're not new. Clearly, we got someone sitting up here that's been in the game more years than some of us been alive. You know what I'm saying?
True thing.
It's not new, but it's more visual, and that's in the world as a whole. So I think the way to correct it is to show more size to us. We can't just keep coming out taking our shirts off and thinking that when we walk and sit in the audience, ain't nobody, they just gonna respect us as we come. That ain't gonna happen. We can't just every time we get on Instagram, every picture is a shirt off. Come on, we ain't talking about nothing.
Maybe I paid.
Have a conversation.
I gotta speak. I gotta speak.
One at a time.
I gotta speak. I'm sorry. There are definitely trans men that enjoy being a fetish. And my whole thing is like more power to you. If you want to be dwindled down to your holes, that's your business. I'm not here to judge you. Do your thing. However, when I say absolutely the fuck not, I mean absolutely not the fuck not. I don't give a damn if I'm butt ass, booty ass naked in every single post. If I tell you that I'm not a fetish and you are not going to dwindle me down to my body parts or to the fact that you want to have kids, then that's what it is. You don't get to combat me and tell me no because such and such said that it's okay. I wouldn't give a shit. I don't give a damn about none of that. I said what I said. And then as soon as I speak up, now I'm girl this and not girl like, hey girl, it's girl like, oh, now see you being that's that female. Now that's how I can tell that you're a girl. And it's like, oh, now I'm a girl. I was just the nigga that you wanted to date because you just find me so attractive, but I'm so different and blah, 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 blah. Now your true colors are showing. And that's why that shit is disgusting, because at the end of the day, all they see is the aesthetic and a walking, talking vagina and uterus. And that shit is not okay. And I wouldn't give a damn. That's like saying, honestly, no shade, Alan, you know I love you down. Brooklyn is great, by the way. I am saying that's literally the equivalent of saying, well, if women don't want to be catcalled and raped, they should put on clothes in every single one of they posts.
Because
I have my shirt off does not mean I'm proud of my little nipples and things. I paid a lot of money for it. I want to show it. I should.
We all pay a lot of money for it.
That does not mean that you get to treat me with a lack of respect, especially when I speak up and say I'm demanding this respect. And because you feel like I'm a lesser than man, and it's all built in misogyny. We're going to really call it what it is. It's misogyny, and they really all see us as girls still. They don't see us as men. They see us as women trying to be men. So they feel like they have that superiority over us, right? So then they feel like when we go ahead and speak up, they're going to overtalk us. They're going to say, oh, no, you just doing this and you just being feminine and da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm sorry, that's never okay. I wouldn't give a damn what I'm presenting to you. I don't care if you saw me on Jack, Grindr, BGC, goddamn Adam for Adam, Craigslist. I don't care where you saw me at.
Right.
If I say that's not okay, it's not okay. Because the same way you want to get yours, I'm going to get mine, but I'm going to get mine respectfully, and I'm not just taking disrespect from any old body just because you think that you can have me and my body is not mine. Absolutely not. No.
Right. I understand that. And that's not what I'm not saying that it's okay, right? What I'm saying is let's just think about how the world works and how things work, right? If you aren't demanding respect, right? And that respect is not just saying, hey, you gonna respect me. And we all know that. Hell, look at Ballroom, right? Ballroom is a prime example. You can't just say, oh, I'm coming in here, I won't respect. That's just what it is. That's not how it works. You have to have some type of follow through with it. Something has to be followed through. If every time, like every you can't say, oh, I don't want it to be about my body. It's not about my body. And if all anybody know is about you is your body, then like how can it has to be some type of balance? Yeah, we all pay top dollar. Well, a lot of us, because I know there's some people that didn't, but a lot of us pay top dollars for our checks. Even if you didn't pay for your check, shit, it was a process. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, we all want shirt off. I take my shirt off. Y'all know it. I don't care. I will walk around with my shirt off. I don't give a fuck. Right? But at the same time, it has to be balanced. Somebody, like, you have to have a conversation. You gotta show something else besides your butt or your chest.
The thing about it is, so that
don't make it about my body. You say, hey, you know what? It's not gonna be about my body. It's not about sex. I'm not a fetish. You're not gonna fuck on me. It ain't gonna be all that. But as soon as you get around the Bush Queens, as soon as you get in the room, or what? Not you specifically, of course, you know. Or as soon as you get around anyone, it's like, oh well, your shirt off and this and the third is happening. You can't realistically. Now we could talk hypothetically. We could talk how it should be. Yeah, everybody should be respected. I don't care if you're a crackhead walking ass naked down the street. You should still be respected. That's not how it works, though. That's not how the world works. That's not how things work. And at the same time, yes, it is patriarchy and all these other things, but they felt that way about you when they had that conversation with you before, when they were saying, oh, hey, I want to get to know you, this and the third. They still felt the same way, but you still had that conversation with them. It was until you felt disrespected by them is when you called it out. So are we gonna say it's okay as long as you stay within these boundaries, or you go call it out as a whole? That's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
So I know Adonis and yeah, go ahead. No, I was saying.
I just want to touch on that, especially like you were saying, the double-edged sword. So it's a double standard. Period. Point. Fucking blank. At the end of the day, individuals like myself and Kaden, who has been very open and out in public about our transition through every step, and we have two totally different stories. It's one of those things. It's like we need that visibility, but the more visibility we have, it's like the more backlash, harm, and threatened spaces that we seem to put ourselves in, right? So it sucks because I do what I do within Ballroom for visibility because I didn't see myself there. So I put myself there just in case anyone else needed to see that type of person there, right? So that's why I'm so passionate about Ballroom and why I've done what I've done within Ballroom. Now, within my life, I'm well aware. I've documented my top, my bottom surgery, all things within my life, and I'm very open and no filter regarding it, right? So I'm aware I'm probably going to be hit up with a lot of DMs that I have regarding all things with fetish. Every fetish you can possibly think of, whether it be about being trans or whatever, I've been hit up about. My wife can attest. We just kiki about it. But at the same time, when it specifically comes in Ballroom, we're forcing individuals that live within society, as Alan was saying, but just so happen to be visiting for a moment, a period of time in Ballroom to change their character and their colors. We can expect that, but we also, like everyone else was saying, we must demand that and set that standard, right? So if I'm gonna be a fuck boy on Instagram, I'm gonna leave that on Instagram. But when I hit the Ballroom, you kind of do have to have that persona and kind of stick to it, right? You can't be sitting on laps, no shade, but you can't be sitting on laps of the panelists and whispering their ear, kissing on the neck, and then when you walk, you'll probably win. But if you don't win, if you don't win, you're like, oh, I was shaded, and you got your house parents, shaking tables. Like, why, girl? When you presented all of this, it's the truth from the door, from start to finish, right? You do have to code switch. We do. And even though we have a lot of intersectionality when it comes to being trans in general, and then you're queer, and then you're black, and then you're masculine, present, or feminine, whatever. Like, there's so much with it. But with Ballroom specifically, when you hit that door, you need to be that persona. And until you leave, and that's a whole nother thing, right? Then you can hold people more accountable for what they're doing and saying against you. But it is true. You can't really demand the respect, but still be the same level of disrespect, right? So,
yeah. I'm just going to say one more thing, and then I'm going to shut my fat ass up. One thing about me is I've always been very openly gay and very openly sexual and very openly whatever the hell I am. And two things about me is I am going to go to the ball and I'm probably going to be drunk and I am going to sit on the lap and I might whisper in the ear and things of that nature. But that shouldn't matter. And that's the thing, because we are the only ones, the trans people as a whole really, are the only ones that have to come in and code switch. Butch queens can just be Butch Queenie. The thugs, the executives, the schoolboys, they in the bathroom, excuse my French, sucking dick, doing coke, doing all the things they do. They walk out, they get to be real. It really, like, honestly, truly, from what I walk through the door, what I'm doing when I'm minding my black ass business shouldn't matter until I hit that floor. Until I hit that runway, that's the only time it should matter, because I am gay and I am attracted to men. So why can't I flirt if I'm at a ball and it's a fine ass man sitting there and he's flirting and I'm flirting and maybe I want to take his ass home tonight? That does not mean that anybody that I'm being disrespectful or that I'm accepting disrespect, because what it is truly, it's not that every Butch queen is nasty and transphobic and fetishy. So I'm not going to talk to none of them, because if I talk to them, now I'm contributing to this disrespect that's happening. No, I'm just a human being that also, like I said, I be wanting to use mine just like everybody else do. But that does not mean I'm contributing to any kind of disrespect, and that does not mean that I should be susceptible to being fetishized and disrespected. Because I get it, a lot of trans men are with women or trans women, so when they walk through the door, they don't really have to code switch like me. I'm that trans man that I can't really get a haircut. I got to take my nails off. I got to do all this other shit just to walk into a ball. And now you're telling me I have to walk in there and be somebody else too? Why? And you're saying I have to do this not to win the ball, but to be respected and not fetishized? Why?
I don't think we're saying it to not be fetishized while at a ball. At a ball, you can be whoever you want, but when you hit the floor, it's a different story. But that's what the category is calling for. But I think the thing about it, you're talking about, I think you said something when you said trans people as a whole. It's because Butch queens and everyone else, they're cisgender no matter what, and they still don't understand us. no matter if we're all LGBTQIA plus whatever else, they still don't get it. A lot of gay people don't understand what it is to be trans because they're not living our lives. Even trans people, even our counterparts, so they say like trans women, they still don't get us because they don't know what it means to be trans. So they're going off what they think it's supposed to be. So that's what it is. The Bush Queens or whoever's on the panel, a lot of them are going off what they think we should be, not who we are. So we're not saying that when you get in the ball, you can't do X, Y, Z. But when you get on the ballroom floor and you walk, just you got to understand what it is. Like it is what it is. People are going off of what they think it should be, like their perceived reality versus reality. And if they don't add up, they're going to add and subtract to make it add up. And then you're walking against someone else that is what they think it should be. And it's crazy because if you go, like I've been on the West Coast, I've been, and then I've been on the East Coast, and it's two totally different things from the style of dress and everything else. It's the same thing. It's still code switching, no matter how you look at it. But yeah, go ahead, son.
I was just gonna say, I think we also need to like look at expanding categories, right? For realness is one idea. You have this idea of what realness should look like, but who's to say you can't come in and walk Bazaar or Runway or Vogue Femme or something like that? We also need to like really, really get creative with the categories that they're making up for trans men, so you get an opportunity to come as your authentic self.
Love that.
Yeah. So thank y'all for that. Thank y'all for being so transparent. And sharing with us as well. The next question, and some of y'all's responses kind of led right into this. Siren, I do want to start with you on this one because I know that there was a specific post. And hold on, I need a question.
It's coming back.
Do you feel there's a disconnect between trans men and trans women at times within the community?
I do, and honestly, when I answer this question, I'm speaking actually like really from my own experience, mainly because I started transitioning in like 2013. So where I lived, I was stationed at Fort Drum, upstate New York. That city only existed because of the base. So within a 300-mile radius, I was the only trans man that I knew, to my knowledge. I didn't have my first encounter with a trans woman until I met a butch that was in the House of Blonde. That was my first time even talking to a trans woman. The second trans woman I met was Mila Balenciaga. Mila is the one who educated me and allowed me to understand the existence of trans women. Because up to me, I was just like, okay, I'm a trans man. Why I thought a counterpart for me didn't exist, I don't know. That's literally ignorance on my end. But I had to literally go through the motions of understanding what trans women go through, their transition, how it works, the process, how long it is, what they do, what they don't do, what they like, what they don't like. But what I'm noticing is that there isn't the same effort when it comes to trans men. The willingness for trans men to appear in those spaces and defend trans women isn't reciprocated. And I don't know if it's because of a lack of knowledge, a lack of wanting to know, but it happens. Now, I will say in the last year and a half, I have seen like a lot of trans women, like when trans men get spanked, I've seen a lot of trans women step up and say, this is wrong. We shouldn't be doing this. Don't treat them like they're fetishes. I've seen that. But again, it still ties back to what Kaden said and what Adonis said about this whole misogynistic, the mindset and the patriarchy. And I'm not trying to offend nobody when I say this, but this is what my thesis is. A lot of trans men, before we transition, whether you were living your life as butch, whatever, when you at some point in life, when you were being identified as female, in society, you already know women are taught to be seen and not heard. Men are allowed to be vocal, they're allowed to be angry, but they're not allowed to be emotional, they're not allowed to show emotion. So you have two different groups of people who are raised in a society where they can only be one way, and then they just swap. So while you have some people are recognizing like, this is how I was brought up, now this is the new privilege I have, others are acknowledging that this is the new privilege I have, and I ain't worried about what privilege you got. There's literally a disconnect, mainly because people don't want to take the ownership and saying, I need to learn about my counterparts. I need to know what my counterparts are going through. I need to put myself in their shoes. You can't ask for people to support you and advocate for you, but you can't do the same for your counterparts. And my biggest issue with a lot of trans women is when I do vocalize and say, yo, this is kind of wrong. I don't really like the way you said that. Oh, yeah, you're being a girl. Oh, it's not that deep. Trans men are so sensitive. And the post that you're even talking about, I won't say the name because I ain't giving nobody no clout. But even in that post, there were comments from butch queens that were literally diminishing the visibility of trans men, disrespecting their anatomy, disrespecting their bodies. And then there were trans women that thought it was funny. And because the post was made by a trans woman, I don't know her from Jump Street. I just know her in Ballroom. I shared it. I didn't like it. And what happened? We got called sensitive. It got shared in the Ballroom clips of this group. We would be called sensitive nonstop. People were literally arguing that, oh, trans men do this, trans men do that. And this ties back to what Alan was saying with the whole idea of how you present yourself and how people should treat you. No, that's not that. Because everybody deserves respect. Me taking off my shirt and on social media doesn't mean I should be disrespected. I could be a model. If I'm getting paid to take off my shirt, now what? I got to accept everybody else? The same thing goes for sex workers. I can't sit here and say, oh, trans women who are sex workers should be disrespected because that's their occupation. No. So I'm not going to say the same thing about trans men. So I just feel like when it comes to the trans men and trans women, because we're not willing to educate ourselves on what we go through in life, we're so focused on who has it worse and who has it better, that disconnect continues to be there.
Huh.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Kaden?
Yeah. So I have been saying this for years, and I get a lot of backlash for saying it, but I'm gonna just be honest. A lot of trans women still benefit, even though I'm not taking away from the oppression and the things that are in place and the violence that they have to deal with daily and things of that nature. But it's been in spaces like Ballroom and things of that nature, there's still that benefit from male privilege. And I'm just being honest with you, because what it boils down to is because, and this is what I said before, trans men are not seen as men. We are seen as women who are trying to be men, right? Whereas even by butch queens, a lot of butch queens still see trans women as either gay men or a part of like the gay man squad, right? So trans women get away with anything. They can do whatever they want, however they want, as long as they're still feminine and girly, which I also don't agree with, but whatever the case, we're not talking about that. They can use their bodies however they want. They out here posting on Facebook about, turning tricks and doing all the things, which of course I don't judge. They can top, bottom, left, right, up, down, however they want. But as soon as a trans man does that, oh, the world ends. And a lot of that hatred and a lot of that backlash comes from other trans women. And it always boggles my mind. I cannot tell you how many trans women have literally cursed me out in my inbox because they feel like I'm not a man because I'm gay. Like literally cursed me out. They started by hitting on me and then cursed me out because I'm not gay, or because I'm not into them, because I'm not into women. And I'm like, but I respect you as a woman. I'm respecting you. I'm not dwindling you down to your no, but now all trans men are sensitive and they boxed us all into this one group, but you can't do the same thing to them. You just can't. But all trans men are the same for a lot of trans women. There are a lot who aren't like that way. And those are the only ones I really associate with. But I see those types of posts all the time, like all the time. And they dwindle us down to our parts just the same. So I feel like there's a big disconnect in that space. And I feel like there's a lot of education that needs to be had on both ends.
Anyone else?
So I wanted to say, so a conversation we had at one of our House Lives Matter, I think it was in Dallas. We spoke about the generational gap. So I have a lot of great bonds, and a lot of my mentors are trans women. And what I've learned is, I guess I will compare it to Ballroom back in the day when they were worried about losing their friends to deaths of AIDS, right? And then all these other pandemics that have happened or epidemics that have happened where they were losing their friends, that was their main focus. I think with trans women, this is what I will say for me, my soul, my heart, what I believe. I think the disconnect comes from right now and from the beginning, their safety, right? They're killed at much higher proportions than anyone in the world. And by, you got it, Black men. So when they see us as Black trans men, this is from those of mouth, not speaking for all trans women. Obviously, they're not on here to represent. But what I've been told is that's what they see. And then they try not to see that because we do have a shared experience of our transness. So then they try to tap into our Black woman femininity, right? Which is the number one victim of this world, right? Is Black women. We know that, right? Completely undervalued. We get that. So I think that there's like a lot of that has to do with that disconnect. I think a lot of people break trans men down, right? They break us apart as if they're trying to figure us out to put us back in a box. And we're like, no, honey, we've done that to ourselves already. This is the presentation I'm giving you with the fucking bow, accept it and take it. And I think that that's one of the things. And I also will say from someone that told me this, they said they are jealous of our experience because of how we're able to have the passing privilege very early on. Whereas a lot of them, these are all societal norms, which I don't agree with, but a lot of them feel like they don't have that passing privilege as easily as us, and that we can move through society as stealth as we would like. And we can choose our life's path and our lovers and our jobs much easily, whereas they don't have to, or they have to deal with much more backlash. So that's kind of like the feedback I've gotten. I don't feel I know it exists, right? So this is me speaking from privilege. I know it exists, but I don't feel the disconnect when it comes to trans men and trans women from my experience, because I see them as siblings, right? So for me, I always try to make that connection personally, whomever I meet. And again, that was my first experience of anything trans. So for me, they have always been my mentors. But I think that some of those pieces have a lot to do, and it's rooted in, as we already have stated, misogyny, racism. It's a lot of bullshit that I think that we have to carry and we have to deal with ourselves. And I think we tend to project and definitely kick that back towards our siblings, which is the trans men. I think we, as trans men, kind of have to swallow it and take it and deal with it. Because if we express, like we are now, how we feel, because I can only imagine what's going to happen after this video. Once we express openly the things we feel, I think that then that becomes an issue. And also with the generational thing, I believe a lot of trans women and a lot of trans women in Ballroom have been very vocal about this. They didn't say what they were doing. They didn't say the surgeries they were getting, the moans that they were on. They wasn't giving you referrals and let you know who their doctors were. They were keeping that very quiet. And then now you have all these trans men, because everybody say it's so new. It's not new. Social media became a thing. So we're able to document our journeys, and we're very open and vocal about it, because representation matters. And having that visibility has given us much more safety. Yes, it still puts us in harm's way, but it's also given us more of a shield as well. And I kind of feel like I said, that generational gap, I think that a lot of that disconnect comes from that, because a lot of younger trans women, they lean towards their previous, mentors or those that came before them, how they did their transition, and they kind of take on those personas or attitudes or behaviors, just like in your family, you learn hate, right? And you learn these behaviors, but I don't think that it's always truly what's meant to happen. I think it's just an educational piece in the end.
You gonna say something, Sean? Go for it.
Yeah, I think it's a couple of things, right? I think the main reason the disconnect happens is because we're talking at each other and not to each other, right? We're having discussions in my opinion, social media is never going to be the place to pick a fight or to start or to challenge somebody on their beliefs, right? We can invite you into a room to have a discussion, maybe box, but we're never going to have an organic, authentic discussion on social media. So that's the first thing. And then I've heard y'all say a few times that we're not that new, but for the purposes of this discussion, right? When I was coming up, I didn't see any other Black trans men that I could model myself behind, or that folks were going to advocate for. But at that time, they were still advocating for trans women or femme queens or whatever they were calling them, to make sure that they had the services that they needed. So we're the last one at the party, meaning they have not done any research. And goes into the work that I do. They've done absolutely no research on what it means to be a black trans male, how the hormones are going to impact our body, and like none of these things. And we expect Ballroom to be so well versed in it when society isn't. So I think we really have to figure out ways that, like, the one disconnect I will say is what trans women will say, "Oh, you're taking up too much space. You're taking up too much space." Well, sis, you've had the space for a long time. Invite me into the space so I can now have a discussion around what my needs are. But we can have those conversations in a way that's organic enough that nobody feels like they're being left out. And I think that's what needs to happen, you know?
Awesome. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Thank you all for sharing. This has been great so far. We're going to take a quick break to show a commercial for one of our sponsors, and we come right back with our next question.
Step up, prep up to help keep you free from the risk of HIV. Descovy for PrEP, a once-daily prescription medicine that helps lower the chances of getting HIV through sex. It's not for everyone. Descovy for PrEP has not been studied in people assigned female at birth. Talk to your doctor to find out if it's right for you.
Descovy is another way to PrEP. Descovy does not prevent other sexually transmitted infections, so it's important to use safer sex practices and get tested regularly. You must be HIV negative to take Descovy for PrEP, so you need to get tested for HIV immediately before and at least every 3 months while taking it. If you think you were exposed to HIV or have flu-like symptoms, tell your doctor right away. They may check to confirm you are still HIV negative. Serious side effects can occur, including kidney problems and kidney failure. Rare life-threatening side effects include a buildup of lactic acid and liver problems. The most common side effect was diarrhea. Tell your doctor about all the medicines and supplements you take, or if you have kidney or liver problems, including hepatitis. If you have hepatitis B, do not stop taking Descovy without talking to your doctor. Ask your doctor about your risk of HIV and if Descovy for PrEP is right for you.
Get help paying for Descovy for PrEP. Learn more at StepUpPrepHub.com.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Shout out to a couple people. Susan Miz has been on here. What's going on, Shady? There's another from Jonathan. Yes, you're welcome. There's a question from.
I saw Q on here.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I was talking about Q. Q's been participating on there.
Oh yes. Q. Shout out to Q Garcon for me. There's so many names. This is a very, very, very active conversation. We see a lot of people chiming in the group. Sonia Raya, yes, we actually did a panel for Mother's Day. Sanira, thank you.
Yeah.
I was trying. I'm so sorry. Yes, we actually did a panel for Mother's Day with all trans women. If you go to visit our Capital Ballroom Council Facebook page, you'll see the video up there. So the next question is actually going to come from Jeezy.
Oh, all right. Is there a stigma attached to men of trans experience and sexuality? Anybody want to say?
I guess I'll talk. Of course. And it's the fact is that people think that trans men transition to be heterosexual. They do not take into that's literally just like a lack of understanding of the difference between gender and sexuality. However, when we're talking about stigma, what it turns out to be is if you are anything other than the cisgender heterosexual normative cliche trans man, you are seen as less of a man. You're not as much of a man as the other trans men. And that type of shit literally irritates me because it pits trans men against other trans men because now they're all in competition to be seen as a man enough, which is why there's so many DL trans men. Trust me, I know. They out here doing the things that I'm doing loudly. They're doing it quietly because of the stigma attached. If anybody finds out, they will not be seen as a man anymore. So they got these girlfriends and these wives, and they're on Jacked and Grindr getting their everlasting lives. Trust me, I know. There's a reason why they do that. It's not necessarily that, you know, if there weren't certain things in place that they would be ashamed. It's because there are things in place, not only by society, but especially in like ballroom and stuff like that. Like, you know, I personally, I'm pretty sure everybody, all the trans men on this call know, I get talked about like a damn dog, like a dog. Like I am the nastiest, filthiest, dirtiest, little nastiest little trollop in the world. And I mean, granted, I am pro-ho, but Jesus Christ, I'm not that damn bad. But because I'm a trans man, I've literally been told that like I'm not supposed to do certain things. I'm nowhere near as bad as most of these butch queens are and things of that nature. However, because I'm a trans man, and I don't know how many of y'all remember this, and I'm supposed to protect my cavity, as I was told by that lovely trans woman, I'm not supposed to do anything. I'm supposed to protect my cavity. So yes, there is a stigma when it comes to sexuality, especially when it comes to us being gay or openly gay and openly sexually gay.
Cavity, like cavities, like you couldn't just say
no.
Cavity. It's just a cavity, like.
He said cavity.
You saw how Siren fell out because he was a part of that conversation. She said, "I'm supposed to protect my cavity." That was a thing for months because I just could not believe that was said to me, but also that it was said to me by a trans woman. I was like, "Are you okay?" So I'm supposed to protect. She literally said that. Because I always have conversations surrounding the differences, the ways that, you know, trans women are seen and trans men are seen, and how butch queens and trans women get away with murder and we're not allowed to do anything. And so I always have dialogue around those conversations. And she came on my post and literally said, yes, trans men are supposed to be, I guess we're supposed to be more selective with who we fuck and how we fuck because we're supposed to be protecting our cavity. The cavity of life is what she was referring to for anybody who's confused.
But okay, so I think two things. One, right? I think gay trans men experience the same stigma that gay black men experience in the heterosexual world.
No,
like,
we don't.
It's the same.
No, we don't.
I don't know.
No.
Okay, I don't know. Well, I'm just.
I'm gonna say the reason why I'm gonna say yes.
You see what I was going with that.
I'm gonna say yes or no. So
in the black community.
Yeah. That, but more so like within the actual community, it's not really the same. And I kind of have learned exactly what that feels like. So starting my transition, I dated women. Somewhere down my transition, I kind of became more so. Well, I've always been attracted to men. However, once I transitioned, I was more comfortable actually embracing that. However, I pretty much said I wasn't dating any men. You know, we could do whatever we do, but that's it. I'm gonna be with a woman. It wasn't until I ended up dating a trans man that I started to kind of see just how trans men who date men, what they deal with. It's very much like you have to be, it's kind of like what black men deal with. Black men have to be almighty alpha male, masculine, strong, no emotion, whatever. Trans men are pretty much put in that same box. You can't be a feminine trans man. You can't be an androgynous trans man. You have to be hyper masculine. And that's the narrative. All the time. That's the narrative. So when you are a trans man who chooses to date men, be it trans or cis male, now you're put into this box of, well, who got the bigger balls? And the reality is, I ain't got none. So guess who naturally got the bigger balls? So there is a stigma, nonsense, and it does come into that. And it's just really about like the space that you're in, the mindset that you're in, whether you succumb to that pressure to be someone that you're not, or whether you're secure within yourself to be who you really are.
And then there's also the hate that comes from other, like people that you're not dating, constantly kind of disrespecting you because you are trans. So like, for example, just about everybody that I've dated has had somebody, especially if I've dated somebody in Ballroom, has had somebody hit them up on the side, like, you really gonna be with that trans man? You know you're gonna go back to real dick and balls. Like that is constantly a literally a dick measuring contest, because there's like this idea that my being a gay trans man is kind of like taking up their space. I really don't really know what that whole thing is, but that comes too. So it's not, like Alan was saying about like how what gay men experience from heterosexual people, it's coming at you from every avenue, like literally every avenue. People are literally like attacking you, your person, your being, your persona. You become just this gay trans man and nobody sees a person anymore.
So I kind of wanted to kind of touch on like the whole sexuality with being trans and what testosterone does and how it can alter it. So like for me, prior to transitioning, I was actually openly engaged to be married to an openly gay man. So even living my life as a, I guess, lesbian or bisexual woman, I still dated gay men. It's just what it was. And they actually is this a thing for like DL gay men that date women? Like, is that a thing? Because TikTok says it is. But so that's kind of like how my life was. Like, gay men didn't really want to, like, admit that they were attracted to, a woman. And I was not a masculine woman. I kind of gave you that Aaliyah allure. You know what I'm saying? Like, the long hair, baggy pants, little tight shirt, right? So I kind of gave that and like gay men, I just dated them. They were attracted to me, was what it was. But when I transitioned, I started to have more of an attraction for cisgender heterosexual women, right? It's weird. And then later on, because I'm almost past 10 years, the attraction kind of is just what it is, kind of very fluid, but still towards more of that masculinity, whether it's within the male or female shell. So for me, I only mention that and bring that up because we already are fucking dealing with our own internal shit when it comes to the stigmas that are attached, the shame, the guilt, the vulnerability that we are forced to allow or afford other people to experience with us, right? So we're already dealing with that internally. So externally, personally, I don't give a fuck about whatever stigma that is placed on me when it comes to that because I've never cared, right? But I do understand a lot of people deal with this on a much heavier level. Gender dysphoria is real. Let me tell you. And when there's a lot of gatekeepers within the health community, I know Sean can speak to this, honey. And then to know that there's case studies that don't even record us to actually assist us with the needs and resources that we need and should be afforded. Like that's a whole nother thing when it comes to mental health. So for a lot of people, it's a key. Like, it's a stigma. Everyone has a stigma when it comes to your like sexuality. No, not like us. Not like us. And I'm not trying to sound like a victim, but we kind of are victimized when it comes to this. Because again, it's not like people don't understand. And it's like, we're going to keep this then because it's too hard to explain. No, I didn't come into my transition to be a walking encyclopedia or a walking Google to educate you on basic necessities of how to be fucking respectful. Right.
Yep.
So if you already internally, because that's really what it is, you already internally have your issues and your own stigmas with your own sexuality, and then you're placing those on me. Like, damn, think about the weight of those. Because I would say, I don't know if anyone's openly experienced or have felt depression or any anxiety because of that. But for those that I've spoken to, they're no longer here because of those things. So I only put that heaviness out there to be mindful of the things that we do and say. Like, it's not normal. These are not normal things. So to have these stigmas about us and our sexuality, this is not normal. So let's fix that and rectify that and just stop the shit.
Stop the shit. Thank you. Y'all, every time a question pops up, y'all just like, I can't even say nothing. I'm just gonna sit here and just like speak.
It's been a lot of head shaking. Like,
yes, a lot of head shaking.
But I was gonna say too, that's what this is for. Like, really, this is for us to provide a space for you all to be able to talk to the community, because oftentimes y'all aren't provided these spaces where y'all are able to speak, and we sit back and listen and learn.
Yep.
So that's
there are
very
so many comments on here saying thank you for this conversation. So you guys are definitely dropping knowledge. So
shout out to Victoria Kirby York over at NBJC, Natural Black Justice Coalition. She's another one that said, I appreciate this convo, thank you. And it's been a lot. A
lot of people
in the pews said thank you for that. Like, people are like, oh wow, because like to Dante's point, and we said this in the beginning, we want to give everyone a platform to really talk and educate us. All right, so the next question we have. Over the past few years, there's been an uptick of sexual assault against trans men. How can we create a safe space for men of trans experience, both within and outside of Ballroom? Go ahead, anybody.
So I am triggered by this question. I'm just going to be very honest. It always burns my ass when people ask victims how they can stop the predators from victimizing them. drives me fucking nuts. Just go put it out there. But with this question, again, we go back to the very first question. It's all about respect in that we are humans, and we are one first, right? So how you would treat anyone that you genuinely care for and don't want to see harm to them is how we should be treated. There's no special sauce or recipe. There's no special little room or door that we need to be able to go through. So, you know what I mean? So that we can be protected from these fucking predators. They need to be removed. That's the end of it. I think that we kind of put a spotlight on it right now, right? Because we are very vocal. A lot of trans men have vocalized different assaults that they've experienced within their house members, house parents that are still house parents. So things like that, like we have vocalized that, and a lot of those things have been brushed, under the rug. Again, I think it's a cultural thing within the Black and brown community, specifically within the brown community, within the Black community, where we kind of hide that, like that's the uncle, that's the assaulter. Let's just not have the kids buy them, right? And we have that within the ballroom community. We literally have those leaders like, that's just how they are, girl. Just don't hang out with them, after a ball type shit. And it's just crazy to me, like. At some point, we really just have to remove those predators because they're not just victimizing us, they're also victimizing others. And they probably already were victimizing these individuals, and then they got to us. Right. I'm just saying. So for me, with that question, it's a huge trigger of mine to ask the victim how to stop being victimized.
But since I'm sorry, go ahead, Katie.
No, go ahead.
But since we are asking the question, it comes down to accountability. Like Adonis just said, we all know somebody that has exhibited those types of behaviors, and we laugh and joke about it. So the next discussion, perhaps, that you guys have should be around what does accountability look like in ballroom, and how do we begin to hold those folks that have been participating in these types of behaviors for years, and whether it was against trans women or trans men or those young butch queens that come in the scene looking for guidance. A predator is a predator, and they just gonna prey on those folks that they perceive as weak. So if we know that exists, it doesn't just stop with trans men. We need to eliminate it, period. And we all know it exists. So what are we gonna do about it? That's the question.
Right. I was gonna say that yes, I agree with both. I definitely agree with both. But there's also the thing about just believing people and not just writing them off. I feel like a lot of people treat us trans men like they treat Black women. It's no shade. It's always, they might be just looking for clout, or what what he give, you know how he get down. And when we say stuff, I know personally I've posted, and I'm just gonna put myself out there because I don't give a fuck. I posted a few times about a particular person who sexually assaulted me. And it wasn't like blatant rape. However, it is sexual assault when you take there's a lot of cisgender butch queens that are putting holes in condoms, taking condoms off mid-sex, et cetera, trying to get trans men pregnant. And that is also sexual assault. And I've posted about that mad times, and nobody's ever come to me. And also, even the people that do know about this person is because this person is known in the scene. It's given like, let's protect him. It's very Bill Cosby, R. Kelly about the situation. Oh, well, him, and his Vogue is cute, or his drag is cute, or whatever the case may be. And it's like, okay, well, that happened, but like, oh fucking well. Like, so it's accountability, but also believing people when they say that things have happened to them, because that's just not happening.
Agreed.
I think also too, it starts with those small conversations that y'all are having amongst each other, and you've heard them. A lot of people have heard the comments, those, what I would do to him and all those other type things. That's when you check them. You don't wait until we have a panel. You don't wait till you get on Facebook. You check the person in the moment and you address the behavior. You start letting people know that behavior is not okay with you, if that's truly what you want. If you truly want to start protecting people and start creating an environment, a safe environment for people, you have to start with those conversations when you're in those drunken moments, or when you're in those individual moments. And personally, I think that there should be some type of, in each house, there should be some type of person that's trained to deal with sexual assault. Because But I think that sorry, I'm not playing times. But I think that when it comes with sexual assault, people they need help. They need professional help, and some people can't afford it. And they need to be able to talk to someone. And you need to be able to train other people what it looks like. Because it's not just, oh, I'm just going to aggressively attack someone and rape them. That's not what sexual assault looks like all the time. And someone that has been sexually assaulted, sometimes they're going out and having more sex. Because that's a tale of sexual assault. And some people go to it, some people run away from it. So it looks different amongst different people. Some people are doing drugs to hide the fact. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to get Ballroom has become more than just what it started out to be. It has become more than that underground scene, that small underground scene in New York. It's become more than that. So we need to grow with the scene. The scene needs to grow. We need to put measures in place for things like that. You know, it's awareness. Sorry, but that's my point.
Damn.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Real talk.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Again, thank y'all for y'all's transparency and your vulnerability on some of these topics. Because as we were putting it together, it was like, this is a little heavy.
Yeah.
So that's why we tried to mix in some of the stuff in the beginning too, because we were like, this is a little heavy.
But you know, there's always someone out there that needs to hear someone else's story. So that's why it's important that even though the conversation, the questions sometimes are uncomfortable, for us to have them and have them in a public way so more people can hear and know that they do have community behind them. Dante, you ready for your question?
Yes. All right. I think we actually
answered that one, right?
Yeah.
Anyone else want to chime into that one? We good? Nope. Good. All right. So this is our question.
Share one thing you want to say to all the trans men out there watching this stream.
So I'm that's a lot for one thing, but I'm gonna pick the one thing that I know resonates with me, specifically in Ballroom, because I made this mistake. A lot of the times when you come into a new scene where you're kind of pressured to be this person that you're not, don't fall victim to that pressure. Be you, because I made the mistake of allowing other people to make me dislike certain people because of their situations with them. When you're a trans man, it's like they pit us against each other in Ballroom. And a lot of the times you don't realize that's happening until you've severed and ruined possible relationships with people who really can be your family. Like, when it's all said and done, all of us as trans men, like, we all walk a different life, but the one thing we have in common is that transition, that uniqueness, the things that we deal with in our transition. So what I can say to all trans men out there coming into Ballroom, walks of life outside of Ballroom, build these relationships with your trans brothers. Don't let people create these beefs and these issues based off of who is the alpha male and who's not. Just literally, like, get to know each other, because we all we got. Like, this panel is what it is because we can all come together. So imagine what it looks like when all of us everywhere come together. So, yeah.
Just the final question, so we want to hear from everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, about to say, who next?
I'll go. I just say, don't let Ballroom change you. Don't let it make you dull yourself down or dim your shine or not be yourself because you want to fit into the box that Ballroom is, because it will weigh down on your mental health and things of that nature. And at the end of the day, Ballroom is this small facet of your life. And a lot of the times we can get in it, and it's so fab when you first get in it. There's all these things, there's all these amazing people and all this talent and all this stuff, and you get sucked in, and then it consumes you. So don't let it consume you. Don't let it take away from who you are as a person, basically.
I can go next. I would say it's kind of what I always share whenever I interact with any trans man. It's like if I was talking to my younger self, right? I would always say I wish I transitioned earlier because I transitioned late in life. But take your time. I would say mental health is a huge importance. It should be a priority over anything you do. That's just my personal advocacy. And also, everything you need is currently within inside you. Period, point blank. I believe that wholeheartedly. So the things that you are seeking, whether it be from other individuals or the entities, trust me when I tell you it is inside of you, whether it is now or later you come to that realization, but trust yourself. Just and trust the process of all things when it comes to anything of transition. We are forever transitioning in different facets of our life. So understand that. Yes, it's become trendy to say it when it comes to transgender individuals, but we are forever transitioning, and that's the goal, to continue to change and also be fucking kind to yourself, right? Give yourself that space to fail and fuck up. Trust me. The more you fail, the better you will become. Trust me. And you ain't gonna share it on social media because social media is the devil. But I would say sometimes some things that we do share, because I know Kate's shaking his head. Some things we do share, I'd be like, damn, I shouldn't have posted that. But then, I get all these inboxes like, oh my God, I thought I was the only one, right?
Yeah.
It's just so many things. So, just kind of balance that. But mental health, seriously, because you want to be mentally stable and grounded when you go through this transition. And like I said, there's so many different aspects of it, whether you're choosing hormones or surgeries or none of it, being stealth, whatever your life path is, find that purpose and passion with that in you. Because trust me, you already got it.
Love that.
And don't transition for ballroom. Please do not transition for ballroom. Whatever you do not transition for ballroom.
That's another panel. That's another panel.
I'm just saying, just throwing it out there.
I'll go ahead.
I like what you do.
So I would say learn who you are and validate and accept yourself.
You sound low.
You can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I would say accept yourself, validate yourself, learn who you are. No matter how good or how bad it is, learn who you are and accept yourself as a person, as a whole person. Because when you step in the ballroom, and if you go out there and you're looking for validation, it's going to change every time you hit the floor. You're going to lose yourself in ballroom. Don't lose yourself. So once you learn who you are and know who you are and find your strengths, because there's something, especially if you're in a house, someone brought you in the ballroom, somebody saw something in you. So find your strengths and grow it, water it, work on what you have as a person and the strengths of yourself. And then offer it to ballroom. And if they don't accept it right now, doesn't mean they won't accept it later. Just keep going. You're not gonna win them all. You might get chopped. Just come back. That's what transmen going to ballroom. But transmen as a whole, that's, as Adana said, trust the process, because it's crazy, and it grows every time you grow. It gets better and better.
All right, and now from the OG.
I'd say that your transition is uniquely yours, right? Don't compare yourself to anybody else. Take your time as you transition. If you're gonna go into ballroom, choose your family wisely, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we spend so much time with these folks, and you want to make sure that they're supportive and they have your back, and the whole house thinks the way that you think or sees you the way that you want to be seen. As far as medically transitioning, it's not for everybody. If you find out that it's not for you, never let somebody shame you because that's not what you choose to do. Speak out. If there's something that you feel like you need, if it's assistance, whatever kind of assistance it is, don't be ashamed to ask for it. Find fellowship with folks that have things in common. We all are not like, we can all sit on the phone and say, well, we're all trans men and we all should get along, but we may not have things in common, and that's okay. Like, find your tribe, and once you find your tribe, it becomes so much easier. I have friends that I've been friends with for like 25 years, right? That's my tribe, and I don't try to step outside of that. And at the end of the day, you have to love up on yourself because ain't nobody else gonna do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Amen.
I want to thank all of you gentlemen for
Yes.
being here with us today.
Thank you.
for again being vulnerable, being able to be so transparent, sharing y'all's truths and y'all stories with us. We need to see more of these start happening, whether it's on our platform or other platforms. But within the community, ballroom or outside of ballroom, we need more of these discussions because really this is how
This was
we
dope.
understand each other. So thank you all again.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know what else to say. I didn't mean to just, I'm still like processing everything that you guys just like talked about and took everybody through and thinking. I'm reading all the comments on the side, and there's so many people that was touched by the words that you all said this evening. You know, I don't know if you realize like how impactful this was to a lot of people. And shined a lot of lights on a lot of things. So yeah, thank you all for taking time out of the day to come and be transparent and share your story and interact and really show the world your heart and the way you feel. Because a lot of times people and you said it, it's just important. I'm just very, very, very pleased and very, very thankful that you all did this. So thank you.
And I want to thank Kaden too, because Kaden gave me my word for work tomorrow. I'm gonna be a pro ho. And I'm gonna do that shit proud. So when I show up tomorrow with pro ho, I'm gonna get that shit on the t-shirt. But I appreciate you. Keep living in your truth, bro.
I honestly just wanted to shout out, like, specifically. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I wanted to thank all the viewers. I appreciate you guys. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
We gonna keep doing it. You gonna go?
Go ahead, Adonis. You go.
Paper, rock, scissors. All right. No, I was gonna say, for me personally, I didn't see this until later. I just want to thank my wife. She's in the comments, and she actually is the reason. Let me stop saying that. It sounds like she pressured me, but she is a huge contributor to my transition. She's someone that seen it early on, seen something within me, and helped me. I guess, like Alan said, water that within me and help me through it all, literally. I know a lot of us have people or spouses in our life that have been huge contributors to our well-being, our mental, physical, and spiritual, and she is definitely that rock for real. So I just wanted to see that because I saw her and I was like, oh, okay. But also, like, personally, Dante, like, listen, sir, aside from the things that you do within the House of Balenciaga and the leader that you are within Ballroom, I would say the very first time we met in for House Lives Matter, it was just a genuine vibe. And I would say, to be honest, at the time, I was very torn and very traumatized by Butch Queens, if I must be honest. Just had a bad experience specifically within Ballroom. And when I met you, I was like, oh, you look like him. I'm not going to say who, but I was like, oh, you look like him. And I was just like, whoop. But no, you definitely helped me change my perspective. And not be that typical asshole that I'm asking people not to be towards me, and then judge everyone that I see just based on a category or who they choose to represent themselves within a community. So I just want to say thank you for that, and you've been consistent throughout this time and all the advocacy work that you've done within and outside of Ballroom. So
thank you, I appreciate that.
That's it. All right. Well,
Jesus.
Go ahead.
I had a question. I know we didn't bring it up. I didn't bring it up during the discussion and everything. I just want to know: is there a way, and maybe anyone on this panel be able to tell me that trans men could be seen represented more on panels, as judges? Because we rarely see a trans man on the judges panel. So how do we?
Well, Sean, the icon said he's not walking anymore, but he'll be on panels.
Shady panel too.
We need to see y'all there too, because it shows us at a different level. We're just not on the floor no more. Like, y'all are up there judging everybody else, just like anyone else up there judging. So we need to see that representation too.
I can't come out because they misgender me. I'm going on somebody's mouth.
I would say personally, I usually get asked to judge the panels. So this is why so this is not an excuse. So the rest of the world don't try to add this to us. But I have ADHD, and I'm gonna be honest with you. There are certain categories that I will go to sleep on, and that's just not fair to y'all. So I'd rather have someone at my house that's a much better active individual judge. But we do have quite a few trans men, and I agree they don't really pick them. And like I said, they're pioneering icons within the trans man category and face and everything. But they just seem to, I don't know. Is it them that not? So that's what I would say. Is it the trans men not wanting to judge the panels, or are they not asking them? Because I've been told twice, and I've also experienced literally like I'm not similar to what Sean said. I'm not judging because I don't have time for the bullshit. So I don't know if again that has a lot to do with kind of the traumatization within ballroom and that relationship with trans men maybe.
Yeah, and then just from a promoter's perspective, I think it could be just also there's like I think you have the generational and the status part in the conversation too, where a lot of promoters they want to if they're gonna put a judge up there, they're usually looking for someone that probably is like a strong statement or a legend or an icon before having them to judge, and then again it comes down to hey, do they feel like actually judging? So there's a lot of components to it.
Fair enough. All right.
So Dante said y'all need to get y'all status and like do more.
Dante didn't say that.
Dante
shit.
You know what? All right, it's time for us to go.
All right, thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all. Have enjoy your night, everybody.
Peace.
All right, good night. So, team.
I get out of here.
I got you. All right, it's just us. What's going on? This was great.
Great show. I think it was the perfect season finale. I loved everything about this show. I think that it's highly informative.
Yes.
And hopefully people will start to do their own research and their own educate themselves from that so that we don't have to always have people teaching and being the ones that's having to teach people about their trauma or their struggles or even just their life in general. So
right.
Really I like the participation that was going on. A lot of comments, a lot of thank yous, and we need to have this conversation. So that to me makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah. The comment section was on fire. It was going so much.
Shout out to y'all that's still in here too.
Yes, thank you all. This is season finale. We will be back soon with a whole new season. Whole new show. You said what?
I thought you was about to give a date. I was about to say,
we'll
be back.
We'll be back. Just give us a minute. But we are working on a couple of new things to really just take this platform to a whole nother level. So thank you everyone that have been supporting us from day one, because we started this kind of like as a whim just to do something, and we realized that the community really wanted it, so we continue to thank everybody. I want to thank everybody for supporting us. Shady has been supporting us from day one, so there's no problem.
We understand you had to make that money.
Make that money. I get it. I'm just really thankful for everybody. Thankful to our supporters, all the panelists we've had from day one, all the way from what Racine all the way down to like down here. We've had quite a group of people that have taken time out of their days to come and join us. So thank you all.
Shout outs to House Size Matter again for actually being a sponsor of this episode.
Yes.
Thank you all so much.
Yes.
And I think we're
done. We're going to, this is going to season finale. However, we're still going to be around. New website coming out soon. Hit us up on our Facebook page right now if you have any ideas. If you're interested in being in the show, hit us up. We're very active. We do respond. So thank you.
Yeah. Be on the lookout for us. A few events coming up.
Yes.
I won't say the dates yet, but there will be some coming up.
There's a number of events coming up, so be on the lookout. Capital Ballroom Council is here, and we're just happy. So thank you all.
Yes.
All right. Take care, everybody. Good night.
Finish my drink.
Let's go. Let's go.